You know, my expectations for this one were at an all-time low, but Marvel managed to pull off something close to fantastic. Hi y'all, SnarkyJay cosplay here. Right off the top of my head, I know you're thinking about 3 different things. 1, SnarkyJay, that's the wrong Fantastic Four suit. I know, honey, I was not about to invest the $150 to $200 on the new one before even seeing the movie. I'm not about that life. Number 2, Jay, that wig looks fake as hell. Yeah, and so did Jessica Alba's in 2005. And 3, Jay, that really doesn't count as a walk-in intro because you were invisible the whole time. Yes, clever viewer, it doesn't count, but that's all thanks to one of my very good friends who suggested that starter, and I'm so proud of it, so it is what it is. Anyway, I'm not gonna talk to you guys with these gloves on, it's gonna get annoying. But I finally saw Fantastic Four. I did not get invited to any early screenings for this one. There was no popcorn concessions, any of that. I unfortunately had to pay for a ticket to be able to watch this because I could not find it through other methods. And to be completely honest, the only thing that I could really think as I finished taking my notes in the very back of the theater was, holy shit, that's not as bad as I expected it to be. Look, this is not a life-changing, the MCU has been saved, this movie paid off my car, this movie cured my depression. It's not that. It's really not. And we are nowhere near like peak MCU. I don't even think that we're close to where we were like 6 or 7 years ago. But all things considered, Fantastic Four is a surprisingly solid movie. And I mean, maybe my rating is influenced by the fact that we've been getting absolute slop for years, but to be completely honest, I was entertained by this movie. I thought it looked good. I thought the writing was a lot better. We're gonna get into all that, but I want to kick this one off with my rating. I give this film a solid 8 out of 10. As usual, this is my spoiler-free overview. I will let you know when we get to spoilers later on. For now, you're safe, cuddle up, grab a drink, grab some popcorn, and let's get into it. The origins of this Fantastic Four are established really early on, which not only gives the movie momentum, but it basically does away with any possible confusion for new moviegoers or even people that got way too into the weeds on the last Fantastic Four. And while the plot definitely has some holes throughout, there's a lot in this movie that left me with some questions, but they weren't even questions like, why the f would they do that? It was more like, why the f did they do that? Like, please explain it. There were a lot of things that I think lacked elaboration and detail, and had they gone into a little more detail, it would have made for a way more solid movie, and we'll get into that in a few minutes. The 2 biggest things that I want to hype up when it comes to this movie are the performances and the chemistry between the characters in the film. The members of the Fantastic Four are, of course, the first family. So not only do the actors have to have chemistry, but the writing itself has to be good enough to let that chemistry play out. And I don't even want to get into the rumors I'd been hearing about this film yet, but one of the people that I probably doubted the most when it came to this movie really surprised the shit out of me. You guys know that I talk about Pedro Pascal on this channel, and I did not think he was the guy for Reed Richards. Do I think he could have shaved the mustache? Absolutely. I don't know why that's a thing in his contracts. I'm fairly certain he just refuses to shave ever. But does the guy play Reed to a T? Absolutely. You cannot take away what a fantastic, pun intended, actor this guy is. He carries himself like Reed Richards. He expresses himself like him. He's absolutely awesome in this role. And I also have to give praise to Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm. I'll admit, I didn't think he could do it, but he actually played it off so charming. And the writing of this movie doesn't just turn him into like the comic relief pretty boy of the group. He's actually incredibly useful, and I'll elaborate on that later. I also really like Evan Moss-Bachrach as Ben Grimm. I know a lot of people are still gonna have problems with the fact that he doesn't do the Rock voice for the Thing, but he was so wonderfully charming in that role. And I want to talk more about Sue Storm and Reed Richards and their dynamic. They are wonderful in this movie. There were a lot of rumors surrounding the role of Sue Storm in this film. A lot of people were talking about that she was going to take over the Fantastic Four and that we were going to see Reed Richards sort of be sidelined. And realistically, that was complete bullshit. Sue Storm in this movie is everything that she wasn't in the movies from like 2005. She is important and useful and strong, which is exactly what she should be. But what I love is that she doesn't overpower Reed. She and Reed are basically like a yin and yang. They complement each other perfectly. They are two halves that make up a whole that not only pushes the story forward, but really encompasses that family theme at the center of this movie. While we're on the subject of characters, unfortunately, I was really excited for our villains, and I think they're kind of lacking. We don't get a girl boss thing out of Shala Bal, and I'm fairly certain we are gonna meet Norin Rad down the road. That's just my theory. But we don't really get enough of her or Galactus. And Galactus looks great, and I want to talk more about Galactus later on, but I just wanted so much more from these characters. I don't know if the rest of them got cut out of the movie or what, but I just feel like, yeah, we got a lot of the first family, but there wasn't enough of the villains to establish them as a greater threat moving forward. But like I said, if what Marvel wanted to do was put out a safe, good quality movie that established the Fantastic Four in their own universe and introduced them to us moving forward, then they absolutely succeeded. The action is engaging, the pacing feels good, and the stakes, for the most part, actually feel like they matter. And I would be so remiss to not thank Marvel from the bottom of my heart for not including their bullshit brand of humor. There are moments in this movie that are funny, but note that there is a difference between there are moments of Marvel humor and there are moments that are funny. Like, the parts that were humorous actually made me laugh because they don't come as a disruption to the film, and it's not that dog shit brand of Marvel humor one-liner garbage that makes me roll my eyes so hard lately it literally gives me migraines. Overall, the Fantastic Four was way better than I expected. It is a solid, watchable, enjoyable first film for this version of the Fantastic Four. It's got real heart to it, really nice visuals, and all in all, I really loved the chemistry between the cast. Alright, now that the general part of my review is over, I want to kind of do a plot breakdown. I'm going to talk about some spoilers, I'm going to talk about some bigger points as I usually do. So, from this point on, there will be spoilers. If you're on your way to work, on your way back from work, cleaning the house, on the toilet, whatever it is you happen to be doing, if you're hearing me right now and you don't want the new Fantastic Four spoiled for you, turn this video off, come back once you've seen it, and don't get angry at me in the comments section if I happen to spoil it for you. But before we get into the spoiler section, here's a word from this video's sponsor. I admittedly am on the convention season struggle bus. I'm spending more and more time away from home and from the studio, which means I'm spending a lot of time signed into outside Wi-Fi. And we all know that can be a little risky, right? We don't want to get tracked, hacked, or even worse, have any of our information stolen and sold on the dark web. That, ladies and gentlemen, is where today's sponsor, NordVPN, comes in to protect you from online threats, censorship, and surveillance. Right now, you can get an exclusive NordVPN deal plus 4 months extra at nordvpn.com/SnarkyJay. And you can try it totally risk-free with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. With airline travel, airport delays, hotel check-ins, and terrible convention center internet, I really want to do the most to protect my online activity. NordVPN's Threat Protection Pro guards my every click. It checks file downloads for malware, it blocks phishing links, and my personal favorite is it even blocks those annoying pop-up ads that just don't move when I'm in the middle of trying to get something done. It even stops web trackers and beefs up my security so I can scroll safely. With 24/7 customer support and protection on up to 10 devices, NordVPN is the one stable thing in my life as I go through con season. So take advantage of the exclusive NordVPN deal plus 4 extra months at nordvpn.com/SnarkyJay. Try it right now, totally risk-free with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Alright, spoiler time. Here we go. Like I said earlier, this film basically starts off by giving you a very quick exposition, very quick origin story for this version of the Fantastic Four. Not all that different from whatever you're already used to. Basically, this great team went into space, got radiated by whatever, and now they've got powers that make them more fantastic than ever. This all is actually done really cleverly. It comes through the form of like a news special of 4 years of the Fantastic Four. So we already know that they've been operating in their universe for 4 years, and they are well beloved by the planet at large. The whole video is a huge thank you to the Fantastic Four, so we basically get a real sense of how they fit into this universe, and right away we see that they're so committed to that futuristic retro 60s aesthetic. It is so phenomenal. From the graphic design to the clothing to the furniture to the technology, they really committed to the bit as far as the aesthetic goes, and as somebody who really likes that kind of design, I love the consistency. After that quick bit of exposition, we quickly learn not only that Sue Storm is expecting, but very soon after we are already introduced to Shalabal. There is a definite time skip between those, but they happen very quickly in terms of the film itself. Shalabal's Silver Surfer appears and threatens the people of Earth, lets them know that this planet is now marked for deletion, and honestly, already really liked this version of the Silver Surfer. I'll admit it, I talked shit. I really was like, why are they bringing in the girl boss Silver Surfer? Where is Norrin Radd? I'm still questioning where Norrin Radd is, but I actually really like Julia Garner in this role, and I like this version of the Silver Surfer because in 2005 or whenever that Silver Surfer movie came out, we got this very like early 2000s CGI with a very almost liquidy version of the Silver Surfer that looked really cool, but in this one we get this almost stainless steel look, and she's animated so well. She picks up the reflections of objects and different tones and fire and all sorts of things around her that really make her really cool to look at. So anyway, she threatens the Earth and the Fantastic Four. They take off into space to go track her down. The Fantastic Four, which includes a now heavily pregnant Sue Storm. This first introduction to Galactus works really well for establishing him as a major villain, because we already know that planets are being destroyed, but when they arrive to a planet to find the Silver Surfer and Galactus, he's in the middle of destroying this planet. And the sheer magnitude of the visuals of how they accomplish this really sort of like instill fear and like the holy shit, this guy's just devouring planets. This one is one to be scared of. He's not just a purple guy with a big chin that likes to snap his fingers a lot. This is not to say that Thanos wasn't a real threat. Don't get mad at me. I just mean aesthetically, it's a lot freakier looking. It's at this point that Shalabal takes the Fantastic Four to meet Galactus, and the looks are so well accomplished. The CGI in this movie, for the most part, is really good, but the aesthetics of Galactus are so true to the comics, but really brought over to live action in a very practical and intimidating sense, that I was so stoked just seeing this character on the big screen as something more than like a cloud. And right here, our heroes are made an offer that they have to refuse. Galactus insists that the child Sue Storm is carrying is going to be the next eater of planets. He's gonna inherit the throne so Galactus can rest from this hunger or some bullshit. And so basically he says, look, I will spare the Earth, give me the kid. I would like to point out that there is zero explanation for how that would work, ever. Like, they never explain why Galactus wants the kid specifically, how specifically the inheriting of the throne would work, why this baby would be so hungry for planets in the future. They do not elaborate on any of that. I feel like they could have and should have, but I also feel like maybe they didn't because they just didn't have an answer. It just sounded cooler. Anyway, as pregnant women always do in movies, Sue Storm starts going into labor, but I'm pretty sure that was brought on by Galactus. So the group has to make a mad escape, and they make it to the ship, and there's this brilliant chase scene. Silver Surfer is hot on their tail while they're trying to escape in the ship, and they manage to launch into light speed. And so we get this chaotic sequence that visually looks great. There's some really cool sequences as far as the chase is concerned, but basically it's half chase and half really long drawn out birth scene, because movies and TV shows love to do that. The 10-minute scene of the groaning and the screaming and the writhing and the sweating and the teeth gritted, because, you know, all of humanity needs to be reminded. I'm pretty sure we're all, either through science class, personal experience, familial experience, friends, or just general knowledge, or any other movie that's ever done this, we're all very much aware of exactly how childbirth works. So these scenes always annoy the shit out of me, and I was kind of irritated for a minute, but Marvel does something brilliant with this scene. We have the chaos of this chase through space, and then we have Sue Storm, in the middle of giving birth to this baby in a zero-gravity situation. And we have Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards at the center of the whole situation. And this is a moment where Marvel really lets him be a hero, because we see him having to be the Reed Richards that's a genius, that's a scientist. He's giving directions, he's helping Ben along in the game plan of how to get away from Shalabal. And he's also having to be the husband, to be the supportive husband to his wife, who now is questioning everything, and he's the one there to ground her. It establishes this fantastic dynamic between Reed and Sue as husband and wife, where throughout the entire movie they take turns being each other's crutch, which is exactly how it should work. And it's so well accomplished, especially in this scene. And what I like is that the scene also established Reed Richards as a competent man in this universe, which Marvel really hates to do lately, because now every man has to be comic relief. He's got to be big dope. You know how easy it would have been for them to make him like the panicked dad wondering where the baby bag is and just being a moron? But instead, he's calm, cool, collected. He's handling his wife and he's handling this chase. Absolutely brilliant. Our new favorite CGI baby, Franklin, is born before their return to Earth. And upon their arrival, there's already a press conference ambush basically waiting for them. And the question on everybody's minds is, how did you defeat Galactus? And Reed Richards says they didn't. And for whatever reason, he's super honest about the whole thing and is like, yeah, no. So basically, we could have saved the Earth, but the guy wanted our kid, and I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, he straight up admits to all of this. And the people are like, the f*** you doomed us for your f***ing baby? Needless to say, the attitudes towards the Fantastic Four really take a shift after that. So now all four are scrambling to find a solution. They need to figure out how to best Galactus. And there's a really great moment here. Again, this movie is so filled with good moments between Reed and Sue. There's a moment where Reed is talking to Sue about all the possibilities, and he basically lets slip that he has thought about the possibility of handing over baby Franklin. And Sue kind of goes off on him. She seems to kind of be looking at it from the position of like, I'm his mother, you don't understand exactly how I feel. But Reed does this brilliant job of reminding her, my mind doesn't work the way yours does. Reed is very much a scientist. And to be the kind of scientist that he is, he has to look at any and all possibilities. No matter how ugly the solution might be, like handing over their infant son to this space planet eater, he has to evaluate all of these different things. After that, Sue makes a brief public appearance to try and shift the tide of the public attitudes towards the Fantastic Four. She appears with Franklin and tells them, look, I'm not going to sacrifice my baby to save the Earth, but I'm not going to sacrifice the Earth for my baby. We're going to defend you guys. And again, it's moments like that where we see how things work. I think Sue Storm is very much the diplomat of the Fantastic Four. We see that when we let Reed talk too much, he just says entirely too much. Sue is very much the diplomat here, and Reed is still the leader, and it works so well. They really are a yin and yang together. I don't know where all the rumors about Sue Storm is taking over, this is girl boss bullshit, blah, blah, blah. I don't know where any of that came from, but it's not present in this movie. I would tell you if it was, and it's not. Reed's eureka moment comes up now, and he figures out that what they're gonna do is they're gonna literally take the Earth and push it somewhere else.
We should take Bikini Bottom and push it somewhere else!
I don't think any of my reviews need SpongeBob references, but you're gonna get them anyway. He basically comes up with the idea of teleporting the Earth to a whole other position where Galactus won't be able to find it for at least a couple 100 million years, and they'll be safe from him there. While this has all been going on, Johnny has been trying to translate some of Shalabal's language. He's got all these different recordings, and she explained a prayer to him at one point. So he's really useful, and that's gonna come up in just a few minutes. That's what he's been doing while Reed has been trying to figure out this whole teleportation thing. So they build these teleportation bridges all around the Earth, and when they fire them up to move the Earth, Shalabal appears, wrecks the day, starts blowing up every bridge but one. The one where the Fantastic Four are. So Johnny confronts her with assumptions about her past, and Again, we also figure out that Shala Bal is the one who picks the planets. We never find out why she picked Earth. We do come to learn that Shala Bal became a Herald of Galactus because she basically traded her own life for the safety of her planet. So she has a family and a planet somewhere. They're safe because she's a Herald picking other planets to destroy. And to be completely honest, again, there's not even any like girl bossery coming from Shala Bal either. I thought it was a great performance. I was really interested in wanting to know more about her. They just didn't give us enough. But I love this scene way less for the background into Shala Bal, or this version of the Silver Surfer. I like it way more because it establishes that Johnny throughout the entire movie was working on these translations, and he's basically figured out this huge thing. Do you know how easy it is and how easy it's been for Fantastic Four movies to just lean into the whole Johnny Storm, the hothead that's really attractive to the ladies thing, and make him comic relief and basically a big numbskull? And while this Johnny Storm is charismatic and fun, he's actually really smart and is an integral member of the team. There is nobody here that is useless, and I love that. They never picked anybody to make the butt of the joke. Reed now comes up with a new plan. They'll open that portal and they have 37 seconds to knock Galactus through that portal, and once he falls through that portal, he'll be far enough away from the Earth that without a ship, he won't be able to get back. And so Sue and Reed reluctantly come to the same conclusion, that they're going to have to use their infant son as bait. There's so much complexity in the way that these two look at each other and the way that they communicate. The performances. Honestly, this movie does such a great service to Sue Storm and Reed Richards and their dynamic. The one guy who got screwed in this movie, honestly, is Ben Grimm. They tease at a relationship with this woman played by Natasha Lyonne, who I actually really like. I thought that was great. But you never really get to see him do much of anything. He's almost irrelevant throughout the whole movie, and I feel like they really could have given him more. I don't know if his scenes got cut, but I feel like there was more there that we didn't get to see, and I really would have liked a little more out of Evan Moss-Bachrach's Ben Grimm, at least on his own. I feel like he was doing a great job, and I wanted more of him. Once again, Galactus feels like a real threat when he arrives to Earth. His feet are the size of streets. He's leaning on buildings, blowing out windows. He scowls at the f***ing Statue of Liberty. He's knocking shit over. He knocks the Fantastic Four-mobile, or whatever the hell they call it, right out of the sky. I mean, he feels intimidating. He feels scary. The stakes feel so high. He almost snaps Reed's ass in half like an old hair tie. It was brilliant. And then here's when the movie's convenience plot points start kicking in. See, Sue Storm is on the ground, and she knows she's got to make a big move because now Galactus is holding the baby. He's got him. The bait worked, but like he's taken the baby. And so she's using all her power, like everything she has, to stop him. And I'm kind of conflicted on this because on the one hand, I think it works from the perspective of all those old stories that they used to tell of like mothers being able to lift cars off their children out of the pure adrenaline and the mother's love and all that. So on the one hand, I really like that. And on that same hand, I like that this is a formidable Sue Storm, because the Sue Storm that I grew up with in the early 2000s, yes, Jessica Alba was super cute and somehow made a bad wig and bad contact lenses probably look much cuter than I'm doing right now. I felt like she was kind of useless the whole time, doing the very much like, I'm gonna faint, this is too much for me thing. And then they kind of also just used her as eye candy, that one scene where she strips down in the middle of a bridge and she's in lingerie. I feel like all of that is cheap and unnecessary to put female superheroines through in every movie. So I like this powerful Sue Storm. But on the other hand, in the context of Galactus, I feel like Sue Storm being able to stop him from walking using the Force thing, like, I don't know that felt like it made sense. And I mean, granted, she's really struggling, and it takes the interference of the other three to really make a dent. She's just kind of preventing him from going anywhere. But to me, it just feels like it all works out all too quickly, because before long, they're just knocking Galactus through the portal, and he kind of starts to step back through, and before Johnny can make the ultimate sacrifice, there comes Shala Bal to knock his ass right through the portal, and that's it. And it kind of feels like we spent a really long time freaking out about Galactus, and not a long enough time, like, being freaked out by Galactus. Like, he really didn't do much, and I really don't think it established him as big a threat as they made him feel like through the rest of the movie. There's a big emotional beat because once Galactus is knocked through that portal and the portal is shut, they find that Sue Storm is not only unconscious on the ground, but she's not breathing. Everybody is devastated. Pedro Pascal really makes a meal out of this scene. I mean, I felt like he was devastated by this. And when they go to put the CGI baby Franklin on her, and I gotta talk about the CGI baby, it's not that bad. And I actually think he's really cute. It's not like the Renesmee doll or animation from Twilight in 2008, thank goodness, but it's still a little uncanny valley. He's got moments where you're like, oh, what a cute baby, and other moments where you're like, okay. Anyway, Reed brings the crying child over to his dead mother, and she's revived out of nowhere. And now we really know that baby Franklin is something special. It's not like those people that think their nose-picking baby is automatically going to be a prodigy. It's not gonna happen. No, this baby's like actually special. I'm allowed to say this because everybody in my family thought I was gonna be a prodigy, and now they have to tell their friends and loved ones that I'm a YouTuber for a living, so go figure. Anyway, after all is said and done, we have yet another news appearance for these characters, except right before they're supposed to appear, their sensors go off, and we get this funny scene of the three men trying to buckle in a baby seat. It's one of those moments where the humor works because it's not in the way of anything. It's not filled with one-liners. It really is three men who get along and have this family dynamic, struggling to do a simple task, which was actually cute. The movie basically closes out on that note of the Fantastic Four really established as a family now with the baby. We do get a really important end credits scene here that I would have been excited about had I not already known who is playing this character. It's a 4-year time skip. Sue Storm is reading a book to little Franklin. Little Franklin is already reading like Charles Darwin because he's obviously very advanced for his age. She gets up to find another book, and when she comes back, he is being spoken to by a cloaked figure whose hand is holding a metal mask. Screen goes to black. The Fantastic Four will return in Doomsday in 2026, and I would have been so excited about that if I didn't already know that Dr. Doom was being played by Robert Downey Jr. I feel like this whole thing is irrelevant now every time I remember that. Anyway, look, it's not perfect, and I don't know that I would go as far as to call it fantastic, but the Fantastic Four is actually a really solid, enjoyable entry into the MCU, which is so much more than I can say for recent other films. It feels like a solid foundation for this Fantastic Four as opposed to a failed experiment, which is kind of what I thought this was gonna feel like. The cast clicks, most of the visuals work, and the story and the dynamics between the characters really hold weight, especially between Reed and Sue. All in all, again, my rating for this film is a solid 8 out of 10. It had its flaws. I don't think it was perfect, but considering what we've been given in the past, which is really sad that that's where we're at, but considering what we've been given, and honestly, how much I enjoyed this, I would give it an 8 out of 10, and I would give it that fairly. That's genuinely how I feel. If I could bitch more about it, I would, but that's how I feel about it. If Marvel keeps up this momentum, it means they're probably on an uptick as far as resolving whatever issues they have internally and getting better again is concerned. With this kind of momentum in mind, we might actually be excited about what's coming up next. I don't know that I would say this is a must-watch in theaters, but I would say it's definitely worth watching even if you're a little bit curious. If you're a past or present fan of the MCU, I'd say give it a shot, come away with your own opinions. Maybe you like it more than I did, maybe you like it less, but honestly, I think Fantastic Four is definitely worth watching. And that's all from me. I've been SnarkyJay. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. For more SnarkyJay, be sure to check me out on Instagram, and if you'd like to support me, this channel, and my content creation, do check out and consider subscribing to my Patreon for exclusive photo shoot sets and cosplay content. I'll add links to all of those in the description below, and let me know your thoughts on 2025's Fantastic Four in the comments below. And since I didn't give you a real walk-up earlier, if you stayed till the end, here is your reward, a solid walk-up. You're welcome.